Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the wild story of how two teenagers managed to hack the CIA. And believe it or not, it all starts with a phone call to the man at the very top.
Okay, so just picture this for a second. You are the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Your phone rings, you pick it up, and a voice on the other end says, "I have hacked all of your systems." That's not a movie plot. That is exactly what happened to John Brennan.
Now, the voice on the line, it sounded like a kid, making this absolutely unbelievable claim. But here's the thing, this was no prank call. The CIA already knew they had a huge problem on their hands. Their systems had been compromised.
So yeah, this was way more than a prank. It was a full-blown security breach at the highest level of American intelligence. That phone call was pure taunting. It was the hacker's way of taking a victory lap directly to the head of the entire agency.
So Brennan asks the obvious question, what do you want? But the caller wasn't after a ransom. Nope, their motives were political. They saw this hack as a protest, and their demands were huge. They wanted a complete overhaul of U.S. foreign policy. To really get how impossible this should have been, you have to understand the CIA's culture. It is so obsessed with secrecy that even the Starbucks cups at headquarters are totally blank. No logos, no names, nothing that could possibly be traced back to an agent. So if they're that careful about coffee, how on earth did the director's own data get exposed? The investigation didn't point to a rival country or some sophisticated spy ring. Instead, it led authorities thousands of miles away to a 15-year-old boy sitting in his bedroom in Leicestershire, England. So, who exactly were these teenage hacktivists, hackers with a political axe to grind? Well, it wasn't the work of just one person. It was actually an unlikely alliance formed from clear across an ocean. On one side, you've got Kraka, the 15-year-old leader of a group called Crackers with Attitude. He was the political one, furious about U.S. foreign policy. And then, on the other side of the Atlantic, you had Default, an American hacker who got his start in a totally different way, by cheating in video games like Counter-Strike.
I mean, they came from completely different worlds. But one massive global event was about to unite them against a common enemy, the U.S. government itself.
Their paths really crossed in 2013 with the Edward Snowden leaks. The revelation that agencies like the CIA were secretly collecting huge amounts of internet data, well, for many in the hacking community, that was like a declaration of war. They decided it was time to give the CIA a taste of its own medicine. And here's the crucial part. Their main weapon wasn't some complex piece of code. It was something far more cunning, social engineering. You see, instead of trying to break through digital walls, they just exploited the weakest link in any security system, people. They knew it's often way easier to trick a person into giving you a password than it is to crack it. They didn't hack computers, they hacked people. Their goal was to make the CIA feel what it was like to have its own privacy violated, to have its deepest secrets exposed for everyone to see. And to really make their point, they went straight to the top, targeting director John Brennan himself. This playbook is just a masterclass in manipulation. Kraka finds Brennan's number just floating around online. He then calls Verizon tech support, pretending to be an employee who needs help. Using some credentials he'd already stolen to sound legit, he convinces the support team to hand over everything he needs to reset Brennan's password. It was that simple and that terrifying. Once they were inside Brennan's personal email, they hit the jackpot. They downloaded everything and went public, leaking sensitive data that included personal information on over 20,000 FBI agents. You can imagine the chaos that caused across the government. So after all this, they felt invincible. I mean, they had outsmarted the CIA, embarrassed the FBI. They were legends in the hacker underground. But their whole operation was about to come crashing down because of one very simple, very human mistake. Yep, after all that careful planning and clever social engineering, their downfall wasn't some complex digital trace, it was old-fashioned bragging. Default let his ego get the better of him while talking to a friend, and that one conversation was all the FBI needed to connect the dots. The FBI raided Default's home, and under interrogation, he gave up his partner, Kraka. And just like that, the two teenagers who had taken on a superpower were arrested. Because he was so young, Kane Gamble, that's Kraka, got a 2-year sentence. But Justin Liverman, Default, was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. And here's the final twist in the story. Today, both men are out of prison. But in a seriously ironic turn, the very skills that landed them in jail,
understanding human behavior, finding security flaws, are now incredibly valuable. They've both channeled their abilities into legal careers as cybersecurity experts. Talk about going from poacher to gamekeeper.
This whole thing leaves us with the central question, doesn't it? Were they just criminals out to cause mayhem, or were they digital vigilantes fighting for a cause? Their journey from teenage hacktivists to professional security experts really forces us to think about that blurry line between activism and crime in an age where a keyboard can be a very, very powerful weapon.